Hey guys, Peter here from the Tin Man. So we're going to put this video together for you guys today in light of this COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of service places are shut down, and to flatten the curve, we're not sending out any of our service techs to do any work on anything. We're trying to limit that spread. So we don't really believe in doing that, where we can send, do 40 service calls this week and potentially spread that disease. So you guys have luckily bought a Harman pellet stove, which is one of the simplest, easiest stoves to work on. One of our most common calls that we get with this stove is a combustion related issue. So it's usually you wake up in the morning after it's been going all night and there's pellets in the burn pot. So that can be a couple of things. A lot of people think automatically it's the igniter. So you could have a blocked vent, you could need a full cleaning based on pellet quality and stuff. So there's a few issues there that could cause that, or a few symptoms I should say. And this video is going to show you some of those things. So have a look and follow some of these steps that's there. And hopefully this helps you guys out. You can do this on your own. You don't really need a service guy to come in for this. So hopefully we've illustrated it enough that you can actually understand what we're looking at. The most common request we get with Harman stoves is the stove won't light. So as you can see down here inside, we've got this wing nut here and this wing nut here. This is on pretty much all of Harman's lineup except the the Absolute 43. The newer burn pot style is a little bit different than this, but every other stove, so this is the P61A, they all have that plate. And basically what you're going to do is you want to loosen those two up, those two wing nuts. When you loosen that up, you're going to have soot come out of here. That should be done about every full pan of ash that you get. That's what I would recommend doing it. And then after you get like a full pan of ash dumped from it, check and see how full that is in there. You might be able to go 2 or 3 more ash panfuls in order to clean it. But what'll happen is you'll get a stove that won't light. That's where you want to go. You want to go there and clean that out. It kind of looks like this. I'll give you an idea what it looks like. So this is our display. Burn pot. 2 wing nuts. I've already removed the plate. So up inside of here, there's your igniter. Those fins can get plugged and that whole thing can get full. So you're going to want to dump that out. So let's talk about scraping the burn pot. The other day we had a customer who had a stove that wouldn't turn off. So basically the stove was in room temperature mode and the stove wouldn't shut down and it stayed going. And a lot of that is because of the ESP probe. And what it's doing, what I suggested was the temperature couldn't get down low enough to actually cool the probe. So to give you some idea what an ESP probe is, the back of every stove, so that was an insert we were showing you, but the back of every stove has this probe. So it's in right here. This is just a probe here. That's a sensor. That's a temperature sensor. So for you guys that have the touch screens on your stove, this temperature right here is 20 degrees. That's what that probe is measuring. And they're in different places. Like this is an insert, it's in a different spot. But as for the stoves and stuff that you see, the stoves are in the back, always by the exhaust. That's the same with the Absolute 63, and they're all in different places. So the customer's complaint was that his stove would not shut down. Room temperature was set to about 70, but it was about 75 in the room. And I asked him, did he scrape his burn pot? And the answer was no. So you can see right here, all the ash left here. This stove will still light. Any other brand stove out there won't light without you cleaning it out first. So this particular unit, what was happening was the holes are getting partially covered in soot. So the amount of air being drawn out of here from the combustion blower was minimal. And by sweeping that off or scraping that every day, what would happen is it clears it up and allows for more airflow through the burn pot and into the combustion blower, which in turn goes back to the ESP probe. So when that gets back there near that probe, it cools the probe down and allows the stove to shut down. So if you clean that off, you will fix the problem that you're getting if your stove is not shutting down normally like it would if you're operating in room temp mode. Okay, so your stove won't light. You've cleaned everything out completely, and now it's time to check the igniter. Okay, so if you're going to check the igniter, your igniter, like I said, it's located underneath here. You loosen those two wing nuts, remove the plate that's there. And as you can see right here, this is your igniter. All the fins and stuff are in here. They can get plugged. Air comes out through here and goes up through these holes. So the air that's being pulled from the combustion blower out your exhaust pulls up through here. This has to be tight so it seals, doesn't let the air flow through. And combustion air would come through here to keep your fire lit. That's why you see the flame coming up through. Alright, so you're going to want to take that igniter out. So what you're going to do is you're going to have to go back on, when you're facing the stove, on the left side. A blue and a yellow wire are sticking out the back. You're going to want to remove some clips. Okay, so you can see where it goes out the back underneath your auger motor. So here's your auger motor. So directly underneath there, you'll see the hole where the two wires come out. You're going to take whatever wire ties that are holding these wires on. You're going to want to unclip those wire ties. Once you get those unclipped, that wire becomes loose. And all you're simply going to do is pull it out so you can unplug this. Doesn't matter which one you plug it into, but when you unplug these, and we're going to show you how we test with our meter. Okay, so if all else fails and you have to check your igniter, once you get your igniter, so we're going to lay this out on our stove here now just to show you what we're talking about. So Alicia's going to go ahead and do an ohms test. She's already has her meter already set to the ohms, which if you're not sure what ohms is the one that looks like a horseshoe. And she's just going to put it in both ends here, and she's going to get a test. So this is 46 ohms. All right, so spec is between 45 and 50. So if that's in spec, your igniter is not giving you the issue. Okay, so this is what you got to check. Once your igniter is checked, if that's in spec, everything else is working fine, the last thing you can really look at is your pellets. Okay, you can't really do anything about this, but your pellets, if that's causing your stove not to light, it could be because of dampness. And the pellets are just too damp to actually get the igniter to get warm enough to actually light your fire for you. So this is when I would suggest changing your modes. So get the stove going. What I would do is I would start your stove, clean your burn pot out, start your stove. I would probably, when I get about, let's say, yeah, about almost halfway up into the burn pot, when you get enough pellets in there, go in start mode. So you're going to want to have your igniter in auto, turn your stove on. Once you turn your stove on, you're going to want to get a blowtorch or some way. There's a couple of videos out there I've got done already on how to light with lighting nuggets and stuff. Quickest way I find, stick a blowtorch in here with your door open your door, have the stove turned on, fire it up. Once you get it fired up, get a good heat here, and probably with 30-45 seconds, get a good bit of flame on, and you should be able to then shut your door and your stove will stay lit. So your stove is going to start going. So for you guys with the control on the side, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to switch over from, if you are already using in room temp mode, you can keep in room temp mode, but all you want to do is you want to disable your igniter. So flick your switch down, and there's two things what will happen. If you stay in room temp mode, you can still set your temperature to whatever your temperature level is. You can set it, so if you want 75 degrees, the stove will still maintain 75 degrees, but what it'll do is it will not shut off. It'll go to the lowest feed setting. So once the temperature has been satisfied, the stove will drop down to the lowest feed setting and keep trickling in pellets. And then if the temperature plummets outside and it gets really cold in the house, the stove will know that and it'll bring itself back up to maintain that temperature for you. On the touchscreen stoves, here, you're going to want to go into your menu and you're going to go into igniter, and it's in automatic. You're going to want to disable that. So click on disable igniter and you're good. Okay, so when you get disabled igniter, So same step. So the stove is lit. After it gets going, disable that. Stove will not shut off. You can turn your temperature up, turn your temperature down, and leave your stove where that, whatever your comfort level is. So guys, I hope that helps you. So like I said, you're actually going to be on your own for this. So this is some of the easy steps that you can do if you're getting that kind of combustion issue. Like I said, go through the cleaning process first. Most of the time, it's cleaning related. Clean the stove completely out. That includes your vent. That includes your stove itself, the igniter, where the igniter is to. And then I would start looking at the mechanical stuff like the igniter itself. And then finally the pellets. That would be the last thing. So take those few steps and go through your stove if you have to. I hope that helps. If you guys have any questions, please give me a call, 709-634-5934. You can leave a message on that. We'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. Hours now are limited based on this new COVID-19 pandemic. So shoot us an email, info@tinmaninc.ca, or go to our Facebook page and send us a message there. We get that pretty much all the time. So yeah, I hope this video really helps you out. Have a great day and stay safe.